After 13 years of playing Guild Wars 2, I've learned a lot of lessons the hard way. Today, I'm sharing my rapid-fire quick tips, things I really wish I had learned, or at least listened to, much sooner. One of the biggest time-saving things I ever did was pick up the prototype position rewinder from Hafren in Sand-Swept Isles in Living World Season 4. My buddy Daneth told me about this thing for ages, and I kept making fun of him because he was a mesmer and had portals. I thought it was a waste. He's never going to let me live that down now, as I finally bought one and realized how dumb I was for years. It's free to use, and you can set a point wherever you stand, then rewind to it within 30 seconds. It's incredible to save headache when you're dealing with jumping puzzles especially, but is also just so essential for a lot of amazing daily login farms. Gold makes the world go round, and the trading post is no exception. To ditch the artsy interface and see far more items at once, type I am Evan Nashblade, case sensitive, into the trading post search bar. You'll go from seeing 8 items at once to around 30. Huge difference. Now, once you're in there, 2 huge things I wish I had paid more attention to. The first is that I always used to sell and buy instantly out of impatience and a lack of planning. But if you plan ahead and use buy-sell orders, you'll make or save a ton of gold over time. It doesn't seem like very much until you do it every single time. The other is the listing and exchange fee when you're selling items. I always used to try to do the math to pull out the real profit if I even remembered or wanted to, but you can just quickly hover over the total price listed to see the profit if it sells for that value. Inventory issues are going to be one of your biggest constant problems in Guild Wars 2. One thing that didn't exist when I started was the Boreal bags. They require Icebrood Saga and 500 leatherworking, armorsmithing, or tailoring to craft. Boreal bags only need 12 Supreme Runes of Holding to go from 20 to 32 slots, while most bags require 18. That's about 48 gold saved per bag. Now, 2 great bags to get quickly to help your inventory are going to be the Reinforced Omlicon Bandolier from the Lasting Bonds What Comes Next achievement in Living World Season 4, and the 24-slot bag they give you for just signing up for the Guild Wars newsletter on the website. But no matter how much inventory space you have, you're going to need to keep it up. When you're getting unidentified gear, you're going to want to make sure you're identifying it first and then salvaging it, since there's always a chance for it to go up a tier in gear level when you're identifying it. Before salvaging any exotic items, you should right-click and sell at Trading Post to check the price and see if it's more valuable than a glob of ectoplasm, since that's the main goal of salvaging exotic gear. You're going to want to keep your eyes out for 4 key endgame items: Mystic Coins, Amalgamated Gemstones, Globs of Ectoplasm, and Mystic Clovers. These are used in tons of crafting recipes and legendary items, and they're almost always worth grabbing when you can. Return to old content events typically will give you the opportunity to earn Mystic Coins every day and are amazing to go do because of that, on top of also just being able to get older achievements done easier that may otherwise be difficult to obtain. There's some great keybinds or settings to make your life much easier as well. The first thing is to turn off double tap to dodge. Trust me, do one jumping puzzle and you'll probably understand why. I don't use add-ons much, so finally setting keybinds for my individual mounts in the last year changed my life. So much easier than fumbling through the mount menu on the run. But if you do use the mount button or the tiny little novelty or mastery buttons, you can just right-click those to bring up the menus and avoid clicking those tiny little arrows. You can also right-click your skills to change those, or weapon swap button to swap build or equipment templates quickly. But if you really want to get sweaty, you can also assign specific hotkeys to build or equipment templates as well in the keybind settings. As you can see, I do not currently sweat, despite living in Florida. And lastly, if your FPS is struggling in a big meta event or world versus world, you don't need to turn all of your settings down. It's typically going to be fine by just turning down character model limit and quality in your settings. But outside of the game even, there's some phenomenal resources that will make your life much easier. The Guild Wars 2 wiki is one of the best in the business, and you can type /wiki and then whatever you want to look for at any point in game to have it pull up your default browser for you on that thing. One of my favorites is /wiki.et to pull up the meta event timers. But two sites that make it much easier to learn how to make money, craft, and track dailies are Guild Wars 2 Efficiency and Fast Farm. Guild Wars 2 Efficiency, you can actually plug in your API key to track a lot of things, including your materials, currencies, and so on when you're working on big projects like legendary items, and you can easily then still see what you need to farm, what it would cost, and a step-by-step process to craft it. Fast Farm is a gold mine of info for turning a profit in-game, and you can see optimal currency conversions, daily farms, and more. Just be sure when you're first starting out to do a little bit of clicking through and searching independently on these things. Sometimes Fast Farm's top gold recommendation is a little convoluted, it doesn't sell as quickly, or it costs a bunch just to get a recipe to craft just to sell. For gear, there's a lot of stat sets that are affordable, and there's some other ones that aren't quite so much. A great place to go to get completely stat-selectable exotic gear is actually World vs. World. The most expensive piece here is 1 gold, 8 silver, plus some badges of honor. Many are cheaper. It can be a really fun game mode, and if you want to craft legendaries, will be something you need to consider playing eventually anyway. Wizard Vault dailies are amazing, but some new players do miss the cogwheel at the top left though to choose which types of objectives you would like to see for your dailies and weeklies. So be sure to check that out. I personally prefer to do PvE only because I find them the fastest and I enjoy them the most as objectives. And when you're out and about in the world, look for the Doritos on the map. Commanders. When I first started, these were far more rare, and I tended to leave them alone, but sometimes these are players who need help with an event for an achievement, or are farming things like rifts, bounties, or meta events. You can even join up most of the time and end up on an impromptu world boss chain or something like that sometimes just to get a bunch of loot, have fun, and meet some people. Now, I do recommend playing the story of Guild Wars 2 because overall it's a great time, though as with any content, there are some not so great spots in it. When going through the story, you'll unlock mounts as you go through Path of Fire and Living World Season 4, and they're massively game-changing. But if you're not really interested in a linear completion of the story, I would recommend jumping straight to Secrets of the Obscure to have an easier path to unlock the Skyscale, the most versatile mount in the game. And then head over to Janthier Wilds for the new Warclaw and its masteries, as it's another very versatile ground mount. But if you're new, there's a lot more out there to learn, and you can click this playlist right here to get a bunch of great info on how to make gold the lazy way to make the most out of your in-game time. There's tons more good tips out there, but I wanted to keep it to some of the most game-changing tips I could think of. So if any of you have some wisdom to share, drop it in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, my fellow heroes, and I'll see you on the next page of the Codex.